Shaun, good morning, man. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
No, good morning. Thanks for having me. How
Absolutely.
are you guys?
Yeah, man. Tell me about your impressions of Baton Rouge. I know that you were a very highly recruited defensive back coming out of high school. LSU may not have been in the mix, and you didn't take any visits down here, but last week was your first trip to Baton Rouge. What'd you think of the college town?
I thought it was beautiful. Yeah, like you said, they weren't on my radar. Probably just a little too far out of range, but my first visit, it was awesome. I mean, like coming from Notre Dame to where it's like more tradition, more I guess like legacy, to where all the buildings are kind of built with the same brick, and still a beautiful campus, but to where it's like coming to LSU, you kind of get like the whole like modern feel, to where it's like glass buildings. The apartments for the college athletes are top notch. I mean, the stadium, is massive, and even playing at Notre Dame, like even just to say that LSU stadium is massive is crazy. I mean, the locker room, everything, all the technology, all the buildings, and everything was just like up to date. So it was very exciting to see, and I was actually shocked, just because I took a few visits down to some SEC schools, and obviously this was over 5 years ago, but just to see like where college football has come, has been tremendous.
Your conversation with Kelly, it was evident right off the top that y'all are very comfortable around one another. Obviously, you were a captain on his team at Notre Dame, and were able to kind of, really kind of show that this was going to be a loose interview. Were you surprised at him making the move from Notre Dame to Baton Rouge? What was your reaction when he took the job?
I was actually surprised. Like I didn't believe it at first, just because I just thought Notre Dame was a perfect situation. Like how could anyone ever leave there? Like that's usually a place that a coach would want to retire. But then just like after thinking about it, I feel like I know the type of coach and type of guy Coach Kelly is, and he's always looking for a challenge. Very similar to me, to where it's like you feel like you've given all you've got to a program, and you've done everything that you can while you were there, and you left it better than when you came. And so I think he left the program in good hands with a great coach, and so I think he was just honestly looking for another challenge. And so I feel like when you get to the position that Coach Kelly has been in, a great coach, obviously a winner wherever he goes, and so I think this is just a new challenge, and he's willing to accept it. Like you heard on the podcast where he said he wants to be Nick Saban. He said that's the standard, and so for an opportunity to play him in the regular season every year, I don't think it could get any better than this.
I guess it's a fairly simple question. You reached the highest respect ring in a Brian Kelly program, being the captain of the team. What's it like to play for him?
It's fun. It's honestly fun. Like I feel like I was one of his guys, but it's going to be challenging. I think he's willing to trust his players, and I think that's the biggest thing, to where it's like my freshman and sophomore year, or after my sophomore year, we went 4-8, and I think you kind of saw a full 180s turn with the way Coach Kelly addressed his team. He was more open to talking to players. He was more available, and at the end of the day, he trusted us. He allowed us to share our opinions. He valued our opinions, and at the end of the day, that just made it easier to go play for him on Saturdays. And so, when you have a coach like Coach Kelly, who's willing to listen to you, who's willing to take your opinions to heart, and look out for the best interests of the team every single time. It's like I said, it's easy to go play for a guy like that, and he's also been able to hire some of the best coordinators around as well, and position coaches as well. So not only do you get the coaching from Coach Kelly, but day in and day out, you're going to get great coaching from his coordinators and position coaches as well.
What was your reaction to them promoting Marcus Freeman to the head coach at Notre Dame?
I thought it was an interesting choice. Speaking to the players who are there now, it was the coach that they wanted. They were, everyone's ecstatic, and at the end of the day, you want to play for a coach that you love, that you respect, and that you trust. And so, from that standpoint, I think Notre Dame picked the perfect person, because I know all the players right now are going to go out there and play their hardest for him. They can relate to him, and so I think that's obviously him being a new head coach it's going to take some time for him to learn some new things and become experienced. But I do think with the group of talent that he has and the way that they're willing to play for him, I think he'll succeed early.
I think it was fairly obvious that LSU needed a shift in culture. Is I think what kind of the hire that they were looking for when they hired Brian Kelly. What do you think LSU fans can expect whenever you bring in a new guy and he has his own regime and his own kind of mindset? What should LSU fans expect from a Brian Kelly-led team?
You'll definitely see him fired up on the sideline a few times. But I think we talked about this a little on the podcast, and so I brought up that he's a winner everywhere he goes, and so I asked him, like, is there a routine? Is there something that you always bring with you that you teach to other teams? And he said, yeah, he's like, I have a formula. And so he's like, each and every day, like you got to dive in, you got to work to execute those daily routines. And so I think when you see the Brian Kelly team come out this fall, you're going to see a team that competes to the last whistle. You're going to see a team that has attention to detail, that's smart and physical at the end of the day. And I think that's all you can ask for, because at the end of the day, he has the talent. The talent's going to take care of itself. And so as long as the players are playing smart and they have attention to detail, those were two big things that we focused on at Notre Dame. And so we always wanted to focus on not beating ourselves, because we knew we had the talent and the coaches to put us in the right position. And so you'll definitely, when you see the Notre Dame or you see the LSU team come out there this fall, they'll definitely be physical, smart, and have attention to detail for sure.
Accountability seems the word that keeps coming out from LSU players that have been with the old coaching staff to the new coaching staff, and even some of the staff members that are still there. There's a SWAT program that has been implemented for the team, and even Jacob Flint, who is the weight coach and the strength coach, who came down from Notre Dame, is preaching that during off-season training activities. Was there an emphasis on that at Notre Dame? Was the accountability standpoint? Did they have the SWAT program implemented in South Bend?
Oh yeah, for sure. After our 4-8 season, that's when that came into play, and it really helped our team, just because obviously we knew that, hey, we all wanted to be here. We all wanted the same goal, and that's to win a national championship. But for a player to come at another player and say, hey, like, you're not working hard enough, or hey, you skipped class and things like that, it may come off wrong sometimes. But with the SWAT teams and the accountability aspect to it, is laid out for you. I mean, it's on the board. Everyone can, or all the players can see what each other is doing. We can see if you miss a study hall. We can see if you miss a lift. We can see if you're not reaching your goals in the weight room, if you're not reaching your weight goals, things like that. And so it's kind of a way to where you can self-reflect and just know that, okay, I got to do better, because all my teammates can see what I'm doing, and I'm letting my own SWAT team, my own individual SWAT team down. Or it's a way to look at it as like, okay, I'm a leader on the team. I'm gonna go up to so and so and say, hey, we need you to pick it up for our SWAT team. And so I think the SWAT team helped us out a tremendous amount, just because it took a little pressure off the players from having to go be so direct to another player and maybe cause feud there, to where it's like we all see it on the board is laid out for us. Now we can choose to sulk in the moment, or we can choose to continue to work and be number one on that board. And now a lot of us at Notre Dame wanted to compete to be the number one spot on the board.
What were your thoughts on Jacob Flint, the strength coach?
Oh, I'm very excited. I think he was at Notre Dame my entire time. He was an assistant strength coach, so I'm very excited for him to finally have the head strength coach job. I mean, it's like he's just been prepping for this moment I feel like his entire life. Like he breathes, sleeps, and eats like weight room, strength training, things like that. So I think he's a great fit for sure.
How was Kelly in recruiting?
I actually I'm just learning through just like players now. I think recruiting has changed a lot. I mean, I got recruited back in 2014, so I only imagine like how. I mean, you're more active on social media now. You're probably talking to players a few times a week and things like that. But in my case, I thought Coach Kelly was one of the reasons why I actually decommitted from Notre Dame or decommitted from Michigan and went to.
It's all good. It's all good.
What's his name?
I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
But yeah, so he was one of the reasons why I went to Notre Dame over Michigan, just because he came in and he came up to me and was like, he visited my school and said, hey, like, you're the type of player we need. Like, he didn't really address the whole, I'm not the biggest corner or things like that, to where he was like, I love your spirit. I love the aggression that you play with. And so there were things that like he found in me, and it was just I thought he was a great recruiter at the end of the day.
Did somebody walk in?
What's the dog's name?
Is that a watchdog?
Yeah, do you want me to go?
No, show him on the screen.
Bring him up. Bring him
on.
I try to go far from him, but he's just like, I don't know,
he's not having it, bro.
I can hear you snapping at him.
What do you think of NIL?
Yeah, I'm like trying to get him.
It's all good.
It's no big deal. What's his name?
His name's Maximus.
Oh.
From Gladiator. It's one of my favorite movies.
Oh,
Maximus the Ridimus.
What did you think of NIL? What do you think of the impact? I know that you're not in the game. You've been out of the game for a couple of years now, but what do you think of it?
I'm pretty jealous, honestly. I'm happy. But I'm happy for the guys now, obviously, just because, I mean, that happens every time. Like, just for the generation to get it after you kind of had to go through the foundation of everything. So, but I think it's a tremendous opportunity, especially for female athletes, to where I know a lot of like football players, basketball players, or just male athletes in general get a lot of opportunity to play after college. And then you can kind of start making money there. To where it's like for female athletes, college is kind of their window. And also with a lot of other male athletes like lacrosse and some baseball, but sports like that, I think, is a tremendous opportunity because like you're actually able to really hone in on just what you weren't able to before. And so I think it's just a great opportunity. Some of these kids will come out with like actually just like a good head start into like the real world. And so I think that's also important as well.
Tell us what you got going on, man. We're in the digital space. We're taking a stab at this podcast game and see if we can't make a business out of it. You seem to be on the early stages of it and trying to make this a lifestyle. You've done some pretty good work here early on. What's going on at the Varsity House podcast?
Honestly, it was just I had some time on my hands, and I was just like, hey, like I know some pretty, I guess, big people within the space, and I just playing football, I kind of got these connections and these relationships. So I was like, let me try at least to get it started and see where it goes. And so like from the initial idea, I was just like, if I only do, so I knew I could get Coach Freeman from Notre Dame and then Clark Lee from Vanderbilt and then Coach Kelly, just because I played for all those coaches and had a good relationship. So I said, if I only could do 3, then it'll be a good 3. And then I kind of got rolling and I started to like it, honestly. And I just kept going. But like you guys, I'm new to this space, but I also see like just the upside to it. And not only from like my whole reason for it wasn't to get in and try to get sponsors and make money doing podcasts, but personally, like with my career, I had a few season-ending injuries, and I feel like I was never able to tell my story from my own voice. And so that was just kind of the purpose behind my podcast, where it's like I could bring on these players, I could bring on coaches, I can bring on anyone within like the sports industry and allow them to tell their stories from their own voice. And so that was just my whole purpose from it. And I just hope that continues to grow.
Follow the Varsity Podcast, the Varsity House Podcast. It is on anywhere that you can catch podcasts, Apple, Spotify. It's over on Overcast. He's also got a YouTube page that I watched the Brian Kelly interview on. It's a 30-minute sit-down with his former coach, and it's a really cool conversation. If you're looking to learn anything about the LSU new head coach, this is a cool moment for him. That's he's open, he's personable, he gives you a little insight to his sense of humor, and Shaun Crawford's doing really good work with everything that's going on at the Varsity House podcast. Thanks for the insight this morning, man. We'll do this again.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'll definitely be down for a game or two. I told Coach Kelly I got to come down.
Got to.
Bama's.
You got to. When you do, come in studio.
For sure, for sure. Thanks for having me on.
No problem, man. Thank you.